Welcome to the ZZ Podcast, the show for Xbox achievement hunters and gamerscore junkies. I am your host, Tarragon, also known by my gamertag ZZ Urban Spaceman, and with me is Brandon, also known by his gamertag Freemhole.
You bet it is. Good to have you. Good to be back for a little bit of a fun week.
Randy couldn't make it this week, but we do have a special guest, Garrett, who is otherwise known by his gamertag X Towers. Hi, Garrett.
Hey, what up, bros?
All right. This is episode 0.2, being recorded on the 12th of December 2015. We've had actually a really great response to our first episode, and I'd really like to thank our early listeners for taking the time to listen and provide some good feedback for us. It's been really inspiring for us, and we appreciate that a lot. As we record this, we haven't officially published our feeds yet, but if you do happen to be listening via iTunes or another podcast application and like what you hear, please give us a rating or a review. It will really help us reach more people and make this show a success. In today's show, we'll be talking with X Towers and just sort of getting to know him a bit, and also following up on our discussion from last episode about challenges. And we'll discuss some end-of-year goals, given that we're getting into the end of the year of 2015. But first, Brandon, what's been going on with you the last couple of weeks?
Well, as far as gaming goes, I was mentioned in the first episode. I had a few things I was working on, like that 14-day achievement in Project Spark. It's like keeping an achievement streak alive. Like, it's so hard for me to, like, check in every day and do the same thing. You feel, like, really guilty about, well, I gotta pop that. Sorry, I know you want to watch TV, wife, but I really need, like, 5 minutes to go turn on my Xbox One so I can, vote on a community map or something. But anyway, I got it done. Glad that time-sensitive one is over. Now I can just kind of play at my leisure and do things in that regard. The big thing I did this week was finished the Game of Thrones Telltale series. So that
was that any good?
I did enjoy it. I am a fan of the show. I'm caught up to the show where I need to be for this season. When I had done the show previously, I had just finished the first 2 episodes, so I finished the last 4. It very much fits in with the type of show that Game of Thrones is. And so, if you know about Game of Thrones, you know that there tends to be lots of death.
Oh, yeah.
That just kind of happens.
It's not a good episode if there hasn't been at least 3 deaths.
Pretty much. And so they're fairly graphic. It's pretty commonplace. And so, the graphicness didn't really bother me. There were some things that were a little queasy in the game, and I was like, oh, okay, that might be a little far, but sure. But I think, like I had mentioned before, when you're playing through a single experience and you don't replay, then that's your story, right? And that's what it's, you have this self-contained experience. And so as a whole, it's like, okay, I like that. Well, I had just finished it, and then all of a sudden I hear Telltale announcing Game of Thrones Season 2 is in the works. It's like, okay, well, at the end of Season 1, I understand how there would be a Season 2. You left some things open-ended that you can easily pick up on. But there were a few decisions I made that led to an ending that could be very different for somebody else. So it's another one of those, okay, well, now Telltale, how are you going to do that where, I've got this character, but you've got that character? Are they just both going to die in the first episode so that they can just start from scratch again? I always get to that cynical nature of Telltale games when you're supposed to feel like your choices matter, but then you're presented with so many branching options. You think, well, the game's either going to be 3 hours long because there's 7,500 options to do, or they've got to funnel it back down to get some sort of a cohesive narrative and extend the length to something that's an appropriate story.
Yeah, I found they did that with The Walking Dead. There was a particular choice early in episode 1 where I think you've got to decide between one character living or another, or one character dying or another. But they progress that through the story, but ultimately it doesn't matter right at the end because they're both kind of out of the picture by the end game anyway. So it's kind of like a false choice. You're given kind of choices, but they're not really major choices. They'll affect the end a little bit, but yeah. So I sort of feel the same way. On the other hand, it does kind of make a good argument for stacking those games because you've got it on the 360 and you've got it on the one. You can just play it the other way on the one on the other platform, which is what I tend to do.
Exactly.
Right. So all in all, I would say I did enjoy the story. It is a Game of Thrones story. That was cool. The storytelling was cool. As far as glitchiness, I only experienced like 2 moments where it was kind of goofy. One thing I will suggest, I did have an issue in episode 4 where I couldn't finish it in one night, and so I stopped, picked it up again the next night, finished the story, didn't get my last 3 achievements. And of course, they're all story related. They're unmissable. So I missed my last 3. I was like, okay, well, that's dumb. Well, I got some time tonight. I'll go and replay. Well, and so I went back to, I think it was like chapter 5, because I thought that's where I missed it. Well, I didn't shoot far enough. So I ended up replaying the last chapter 5, 6, and 7, unlocked the last 2, but I missed that third one there. I didn't go back far enough. I was like, oh my God, do I really have to go back and play this? So I just started playing episode 5, and then the Xbox, like maybe 2 or 3 days later, was like, oh, hey, that's kind of weird. You didn't unlock that one. Well, just go ahead and unlock that for you. So eventually it came through. So I don't know if the data was like saved or, it synced with the servers and said, oh, if he has these 2, he has to have that one. We just made a mistake. So I'm not entirely sure what what happened there, but if you can't commit to the whole thing in one sitting, you're still fine. It'll play. You'll get your achievements, but just know you may have a little bit of issues depending on where you cut out of that particular episode. So the other things I did this week, I did a little Happy Wars boosting with some friends. I finally got all my Magic Missile team skills. The Happy Wars community is dwindling. So if you really want to get stuff done, and if you want to have fun with it, do co-op boosting. Don't do like castle boosting. You can get experience doing castle boosting where you all stay inside the castle and just keep using your team skills until you're overrun. You get so much more fun out of it, and the experience is roughly the same if you just go with a crew and just start wrecking bots. I don't see an appreciable difference in the XP. I feel like you get a lot more entertainment out of it than just spending 2 or 3 hours a night to try and get XP doing inside the castle. That is obnoxious.
Freem, let me ask you real quick. So I started Happy Wars on the Xbox One right around the launch time, and I had terrible connection issues. Have they fixed that since?
To tell you the truth, I have also had huge issues on the One. Because for whatever reason, I'd completed it on the 360 prior to the title updates. And then the title updates came out, and I had dabbled and played a bit. And then once the Xbox One version came, I needed some quick score. So I synced my account and unlocked like 23 achievements, I think, just immediately in the Xbox One version. I was like, this is fantastic. The problem is it didn't sync up the new sort of the way the mission structure is. They have crosses now. So by doing something pretty menial, you get a bronze cross. Do something a little bit more impressive, silver, gold, platinum. I think I don't know how the tiers go, but it's along those lines. Knight's Cross, Hero's Cross for doing something really amazing. And so you look at like the missions that unlock a Hero Cross, and it's like, well, I already did that. How come I don't have credit for it? And so I was really frustrated. I thought, okay, well, I got to play on the One then to unlock them on the One. That is not the case. It needed time for the server, since it was brand new. It needed time for the servers to catch up. So if you preloaded and got a bunch of achievements on your one and haven't revisited, go back, take another peek, because everything you've done on the 360 version should now be updated on the one version. So I just signed in maybe a month or two ago. I got another 6 achievements out of it.
Nice.
So, go ahead back and double check. Now, here's the other thing. Since both versions are synced up again, you are having much better success playing on the 360. And then when you are done with the 360 version, or you want the achievements on the one version, just sync up with the one version. I totally recommend playing on the 360. It's way more stable. There's more people available there, and those achievements are a little... They count on both sides, but it's a little easier to do on that side of the game versus the Xbox One version side of the game.
Interesting. Yeah, I think I've only dived the 360 version. I haven't really done anything in it, and I can't say it really grabbed me. So whenever I sort of thought to go back to it, I've gone, yeah, I've got other games.
Yeah, it's in this last grind. Like I'm happy at level 40. Getting up to level 50, I hear, takes as long from 40 to get to 50.
Reminds me of some of my Assassin's Creed Brotherhood boosts.
Yes, yes, or BioShock 2 boosting. Just like the dreadful part of the boosting. Even when you get to level 50, you may not have the 10,000 heals you need, or 100,000 heals you need from the cleric, and it's like, oh my god. So I'm kind of content not having those. I do want to get the mage kills. I think I can do that one, but that's another story. The other couple of things I did this week, past 2 weeks, was in regards to another contest done over at the Achievement Hound site. And it's a fun little contest they do every month called the Birthday Tag. And ultimately, whomever's birthday from the community it is, they will pick that gamer tag, and then you have to unlock achievements to whatever. So I needed to get a few just one-off achievements to fill things out. And so I went and revisited some old games I wanted to get off my list, such as Iron Brigade. I have 2 achievements left. Well, only one now, because I finally got gold medals on all of the levels. I had done everything co-op. Turns out there's many of those. It's easier just to do by yourself. You have much more control. There's less bad guys. And you can, if you spec your loadout better, you can just rip through dudes, no problem. There's a couple that took me a few different tries, a few different loadouts to really find what worked. But if you're having problems co-op, it's likely because you get more bad guys and they're more difficult. Go back and try it yourself. I think you'll have better success, especially if you've played through the game already. Go back and revisit with some better gear. That's the key. The final thing, I don't have the DLC. I have heard if you have the DLC, there are some guns that you get in that campaign that make the rest of the game really simple. So there is a suggestion there for getting the DLC, that there's a couple particular guns that just make the traditional campaign a breeze. So if you're struggling, try that out. I revisited Charlie Murder. I'm at the point in that game where I pretty much checked off all of the relics that you can get that do not involve a random drop. I've got a couple pieces of Smocula's body to get, but I struggle playing that for extended periods of time because it would be so much more fun with other people. Playing it by myself, it's like I love those brawlers like that, but there's just something about having a compadre that you can.
Yeah, I've
work
heard
with.
that game's good with co-op.
Yeah,
I think you can have 4 players in that one as well, can't you?
Absolutely, you can. Yeah. And unfortunately, it's a little too violent and bloody for my 7-year-old son to play with me. So I could set up some boosting sessions, but then you have to coordinate where you guys are and how anyway. We'll get to that, but I'm still kind of just piecing through the story. That's on my list to try to finish up in the near future. I had also mentioned that my son and nephew had recently got into Minecraft together, and I was upset that they didn't get me any achievements. Well, it finally paid off. My son had been wandering around, found this abandoned mine, and since he was using my account, he finally mined enough emeralds to get me an achievement. So,
nice.
Thank you. I got the haggler from him just meandering about and picking stuff up. So bonus on that one. And the final thing that I want to mention, and I just finished it up prior to recording here, I still have one character left, but it is SpongeBob Plankton's Robotic Revenge.
SpongeBob Grindpants.
SpongeBob Grindpants is awful. Oh my god! I thought it would be. I think I got this game for free. To tell you the truth, there's some sort of like double couponing I did, and I got it for free. But I thought it'd be fun for my son and I to play. We played through the campaign together, got all those achievements. It was really easy, and he was done with it. He's like, "Yep, okay, I've seen it. Thanks." That left me with the master achievements all by myself.
Yeah.
And now I've just, it's like if I have 2 hours of gaming a night, and you could say, hey, you can grind the first 2 levels of SpongeBob for those 2 hours for 100 gamer score. You want to do that, or you want to play something fun? It's like, oh my god, so finally...
Give me SpongeBob! Give me SpongeBob!
So, I've got one left. It's Mr. Krabs. He's the last one.
Oh, he's the easiest, though.
Tonight.
He is the easiest.
They're all the same.
No.
How is he the easiest?
Mr. Krabs gets a bonus to his currency, or whatever you need.
Does he?
Yeah,
oh, that makes me so happy.
Yeah, it's like half the time as the other characters.
So it makes a 2-hour grind 1.5 or 1 3/4 hours grind.
Oh my god, that makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, well, then perhaps I'll add that to something to do by the end of the year, is finish that stupid game. So that's about it for me this week. That's all I want to touch on. Let's, Tarragon, how about you? What'd you do the last couple of weeks?
I've been a bit all over the place, but I've been revisiting the Batman series, particularly Batman Arkham Origins. It's been on my list to kind of go back and do New Game Plus and all that sort of stuff. So I've actually finished off New Game Plus mode on that and unlocked the I Am the Night mode, which is it's kind of the you have one life, if you die we erase your save mode. Although you can always get around that with backups and
Sounds
going to the
hardcore.
dashboard. Yeah, it's actually pretty easy to get around, and it's exactly the same as New Game Plus. You just basically got to not die. There was an achievement in that I was working on specifically for the for Facial Lafleur's Great Random To-Do List Challenge, and I finally got that. But God, the challenge modes in the Batman games bore the hell out of me. I don't mind them; they're not particularly difficult for me, but there's so many of them and so many things you have to just work through. It's
I usually like the Predator challenges. Like I always find those fun.
They're fun, except for the really obnoxiously difficult ones. I think when they have the where you've got to go through like a Predator mode, then like a fight mode, then another Predator mode, and they've got the bonuses and deficits you've got to add. Like you've got to work through all of the different combinations of things. And so you get through the first 2 of those, then you get this super hard Predator mode, but you've also got all these deficiencies to your character that you have to turn on. Some of those get pretty obnoxious. I found that in Arkham City. There's a couple of those that really, really made me struggle. There was a bunch of DLC released for Batman Arkham Knight. There's a bunch of sort of campaign-y kind of DLC things, which are actually super short, but they came out. I bought the season pass, so I got that. The Catwoman one was surprisingly tricky, though. There's a battle in that where you're essentially stuck in this room and the floor slowly starts getting more electrified. So there's like a grid pattern on the floor, and from the outside it starts working its way around into the middle. So essentially you've got to beat, a good 150 robots or something like that before you die. And if you touch the floor, you lose your combo. If you do something like where you grab the guys, like you get your combo up and you do like a kill.
Takedown.
The takedown, that's right. If you do a takedown and you happen to land on the floor during your doing your takedown, whilst you're still doing the animation of your takedown, you're taking damage from the electric floor, and you can't do anything about it. So it's basically don't do takedowns. That was pretty annoying. It took me, I think I sat there for an hour or so just trying to work through that, and then gave it up, and then came back the next day and got a first try. I was a bit like, what? Why was this hard? But yeah, all in all, the DLC campaign missions are probably a little bit overpriced for what they are. They're very short. I mean, they're well done, but very short, and I think that's been a common complaint. I mean, the game itself's awesome, but yeah, the DLC is a little bit lacking, I think. Then I worked on a bunch of other... so as I got that random to-do list achievement in Batman Arkham Origins out of the way, I kind of started working on some other stuff. And I had a look down and started playing a lot of Angry Birds. I don't really like Angry Birds. I think I've got that game for like $3. It was on my list, and this silly achievement came up. So I've just basically played through a lot of, the Rio levels on Angry Birds Trilogy. I got that one out of the way, which I'm happy with, and I've put that game back in the box. Have you guys heard of a game called Totem Ball?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if you have, Frame. It's a freebie. So it's a free game, Xbox 360. Its gimmick, though, is it basically works with the Xbox Live Vision camera, and controls, essentially, you hold your hands up, and if you imagine you're controlling like a tank, so you've got to go like, to move forward, you move both your hands up. You've got to move backward, you move both your hands down. If you want to turn, you move one up and one down in the other direction. Very tiring game if you actually play it legitimately. There's actually a co-op mode in it as well. And one of those, that co-op achievement had turned up on my to-do list. And I thought, this is going to be awful. It's got like an 8 times ratio on true achievements. This is going to be super difficult. Turns out, not so much. The co-op mode is essentially exactly the same as the single-player mode, except that your co-op partner just has to juggle the totems, and that basically is just pressing a lot of buttons to juggle these things on you. If they don't happen to do that, then they drop everything, and you like the single-player person, like the player one, just pauses, like they can't move for 3 seconds or so. And then it starts again, and you've got like a timer, it counts down, juggling stops, and so... Essentially, you can get through the 2-player mode single player as long as you're just careful to make sure you are aware that you're going to get paused in midair or paused every so often. So it's actually not super hard. I think the hardest thing is, of course, the controls, but I was able to get around that. Somebody way back when wrote a little program which is basically a virtual hands. It's called Jazz Hands, and it's basically 2 guys' hands on the screen, and you just use your cursor keys, and it moves the hands in the right direction. So you set up your Xbox Live camera in front of you, like your laptop or your screen or whatever, get it pointing to this thing, set up the hands in the right positions, and you just run with it like that. So I played the entire game on a keyboard. It's awesome.
Fantastic.
That's great.
Yeah, so I'll actually probably be able to finish that game off. But yeah, Totem Ball, it's free. I don't recommend it. There's another achievement I've been working on but haven't unlocked on Fantasia. I don't know if you've played that game. It's the sort of Connect Harmonix orchestra kind of game. If you imagine the Disney Fantasia movie, it's essentially you're orchestrating music.
Yeah, I liked it.
It's a good game. There is an achievement in that, and it's the hardest achievement on my to-do list, which is to get all of the goals for all of the songs, so all of the 33 on-disc songs. It's quite a lot of work. A lot of those goals are actually pretty straightforward, but there are a few where you've got to get 100% in the final song of the game as one of the goal challenges. And so I've been sort of slowly working my way on that now. The last game I've sort of been grinding away at as well is Superstar Karaoke, which is a very obscure Korean karaoke game. It's also very rare. I think if you see copies of it, they go for $150 to $200 plus on eBay. I joint bought it with a couple of friends quite a while ago, but I've been stuck on this last achievement, which is essentially this really luck-based achievement where you've got to go through all the song lists. They roll a couple of songs randomly for you. One of those songs, I think, has to have like a 5 in the number that they select on there. Then you've got to get a thing on the 5 that it does another sort of wheel spinner thing. You've got to actually land it on that, and then finish the final song, and then the achievement unlocks. I've been trying to get that particular combination of things to happen for probably a good year now. Wow. And the thing is, you have to go through an entire set of 6 songs every time to get it to kind of get to the trigger point of this particular achievement, and that takes a good half hour every time. So it's obnoxious, but yeah. So I still haven't got that.
Sounds like you've been giving your peripherals a real run for their money this week.
Well, yeah, that one I actually, because it's a karaoke game, I've actually got a little feedback mic, which basically just takes the game audio out and feeds it straight back into a USB mic, so I get no sound at all whatsoever, and it just plays itself.
Oh, nice.
So that's pretty straightforward. I can just let it go, but just getting the particular random combinations to happen in the right order is, it's a pain. And apparently this achievement is glitched as well, but I think just because it's Korean and the guide isn't particularly, like the name of the achievement isn't particularly clear, and so a lot of people are saying, it glitched on me. I think there's actually a hidden requirement, and I think it's this sort of the number 5 has to be in one of the songs that gets selected. So that's been pretty much my fortnight. I'm continuing on with Fantasia probably later today. Garrett, what about you?
Well, in the time that I get, I've been playing just a few things. Tales of the Borderlands I completed lately. It seems like I get the chance to play maybe 1 chapter of an episode every day, but it's enough to keep my achievement streak alive. But I finally finished it up. It was kind of fun. Not as good as the other Telltale games that I've played, except for maybe episode 4, which I thought was pretty amazing. But that's completed. I think I might go back and play the Xbox 360 version at some point. Battle Islands. This is a free-to-play game on the Xbox One. It's basically like a phone game port. I don't know if you guys have played it at all.
It's like Clash of Clans, isn't it?
I think
or
so.
One of those Boom Beach, or
yeah.
I don't know, there's all those very similar type games.
I mean, you could compare it to Age of Empires Castle Siege, except now you're in World War II with islands instead of a castle. But yeah, it's a grind. I needed. I think I put 74 hours into the game, according to Xbox's time ticker.
Yep. I think I saw it on the phone the other day. Is there a phone version of it?
I believe so, yeah.
Version?
I think it's a direct port from the phone.
I was just scrolling through the list of games and I thought, hey, that one's free. That's that one. No, I'm not going to touch that one.
Yeah, so it was long. The last achievement I needed was getting 2,500 tags, which is basically the currency you get for winning ranked battles.
Okay. Is that like 1 tag per win, or?
You can get like 10 to 14 tags for a complete win. If you win partially, you get anywhere between 3 and 7. So like if you completely destroy your enemy, you get a bunch of tags, but if you only kill a portion of their base, you get, just a few.
Yep, that's a grind.
Yeah, it is. You start off with 1,000 tags, but you need 2,500. I think you need to win over 200 battles. Although there's an achievement for winning 100 battles, which I got pretty early into the game, believe it or not. So the problem I was having is I had like maybe 2,400 tags, but then suddenly the game was updated and I started having terrible connection issues. So I would log in and I would get disconnected. Or I would try to invade somebody and I'd get disconnected. And it was a terrible struggle to even try to attack somebody. But fortunately, if your base is attacked and you successfully defend, you'll also increase your ranking. You'll get additional tags. So I just put a shout out on True Achievements. I'm like, hey, I need 5 tags to complete this game. Anybody who can attack me, just do so and lose, and I complete this game. So thankfully, Black Buff, who I believe is another Minnesotan Freem, he volunteered. He said, I'm not going to complete this game due to the connection issues. So he's just like, I'll send you a free win. And I completed it this night. I'm like, huzzah!
Thanks, dude.
So that was great. Thank you very much for that. If you're listening, I appreciate that. So those were my two big wins for the week. I've also been I took my cloud save for Gears of War and I started playing it on the Xbox One using backwards compatibility, which I have to say is pretty slick. I think the backwards compatibility feature is really good. If you have the chance to play an Xbox 360 on the Xbox One, you should probably do so. It feels so much faster and so much more fluid from what I remember. I think it works pretty good. I even heard like loading screens for Mass Effect are 3 seconds less on the Xbox One.
Yeah, I think I've seen that comparison actually. Yeah, the loading times on the one are quicker. Which would make sense. The internal speed of the hard drive is quicker.
It's great, and I think my Xbox 360 is on its last leg because it just takes forever to do anything on there. So I'm happy if they keep rolling out the backwards compatible games. I will be thrilled if more show up from my library.
Yeah. What I've actually found, there was a point where my 360 loading was getting pretty slow and I was having a lot of trouble with things. I actually found deleting my profile off it and re-downloading the profile cleared up a lot of those problems. I think over time they have adjusted and changed the way the profiles are stored, and if you don't sort of refresh your profile from scratch, you can end up with things that end up chugging and taking a lot of time, particularly if you've got a lot of games on your account.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you do, but I mean, I was starting to really struggle once I got over sort of 500, 600 games on my tag, until I did a refresh like that.
Okay, I haven't tried that yet, so that's something I'll have to do. But beyond that, just a few other free-to-play games I've been doing. Microsoft Solitaire Collection. I'm trying to get the Diamond Platinum achievement for getting every challenge in a month for that.
Yeah, that's
it's challenging.
Not an achievement I like.
I'm actually making
miserable.
very good progress this month. I haven't encountered any issues, but we'll see.
Touch wood.
Yeah. Gems of War 2 is another free-to-play game. I don't know why I'm playing so many free-to-play games, but it's just something that I can log into once a day and collect my loot and play a quest and, fit it in before I need to pass out for the night or before my family wakes up in the morning. I can play a quick game, so...
Yeah, I've actually played a little bit of Gems of War. Really, it is essentially Puzzle Quest, in a free-to-play model. I don't mind it, actually. It's
pretty good, yeah. So, that's what I've been doing. Nothing crazy.
I think I've got a sort of a late update here from Randy. He has been playing Graw.
Wait, what?
Okay. Graw.
Is that a new game for him?
I'm not sure. Ghost. Yeah, I think he's been working on that one for a little while. Maybe like 4 years, 5 years or something. Anyway.
Good luck. Keep up the struggle.
Alrighty. Let's move on to, let's meet X Towers. X Towers, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Obviously, your name is Garrett. You've been gaming for a while, and I know that you're heavily into challenges, which we'll talk about a bit later. But I guess, sort of, how did you get into gaming, and particularly into Gamerscore and achievements?
So, I've been gaming most of my life. Must have been in middle school when I started gaming at a local arcade at our bowling alley. But since then, I've picked up a few consoles here and there. I haven't gotten... when I got into achievements in Gamerscore was back in 2011 when I got my first smartphone, which happened to be a Windows phone. So believe it or not, that's how I got into Xbox. I think
that's an interesting avenue.
It's an interesting leap, yeah.
Gamerscore.
Well, I saw the achievements popping on my Windows phone for these games I was playing, and I liked them. I could see my other friends who were playing, Windows phones games or other Xbox games, and I'm like, I kind of want more. So that's when I got my Xbox 360 with a Kinect. That was my first one that came with a Kinect. And then, of course, a few years ago I got my Xbox One, so I'm just a happy Xbox gamer. That's how it all started. Coincidentally, my first achievement, I see that's the next question there. It's
Well, yeah.
First Bloom in Flowers on the Windows Phone, which is a free-to-play Xbox-enabled game.
Yeah, I don't think that's a very common first achievement. So
yeah.
Kudos for not having a common one.
Yeah, I'm unique. Yeah.
Yay. All right, what sort of achievement or completion are you most proud of?
So I think my most proud completion is Oblivion on the Xbox 360. I had actually played probably many hundreds of hours of Oblivion on the PC, fooling around making my uber mecha half-orc guy. But of course I had nothing to show for it because my computer crashed and I lost my save, so I completely it's gone into oblivion.
But that's okay because you get to start again.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I started
on
again on the
360,
360, and now I have something to show for it. I have a completion on my tag.
Nice.
If you want to know about my most proud achievement, now this is on Forza 5. It's the California Drifter achievement. This is part of the Long Beach DLC, but for a time there, it was my highest ratio achievement according to True Achievements. And
yeah, what sort of ratio is it?
I think it's 8 point something, so it's quite up there. It took me many tries, many hours of fiddling. Basically, you have to have a really good feel of how to drift in Forza 5, which I don't think is a game that's designed to drift at all. I mean, this is like a real-life racer, and in real life you don't want to have the tires like going at a faster speed than the road, because then you're losing traction and therefore you're losing speed. So, but in this game mode they make you drift, so I found it very difficult. And being my first Forza game too, it was really challenging. But I hit a winning formula, and I got all my turns just right. Many rewinds. I think I spent maybe 2 hours on this one track, this one lap on this one track, and I finally pulled it off, and that's forever my favorite achievement until I hit something better. But
nice work.
It was good. And that's actually what completed Forza 5 on my tag too. So that's another good completion.
Double whammy.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does Oblivion stack up to, say, Skyrim?
I played just a tiny bit of Skyrim, but I spent so much time in Oblivion. I thought maybe I'm good on Bethesda games for now, and that was a couple of years ago. So
no Fallout 4 for you then?
No, not quite yet. I'll have to wait. I still haven't played Fallout 3.
Yeah, I think I've played Fallout 3 on PC for about 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, me too. That was great. That was probably the best Fallout I played.
I was going to say playing might be a strong word.
Well, you're playing. I mean, you have to press up on a keyboard and change a number and press enter. It's pretty involved work.
Yeah, it's like a keyboard training game.
Yep.
It's a typing teacher.
And of course, you are the proud father of a newborn. So obviously, congrats.
Thank you.
It's been how old is your little bub now?
Yeah, Mina is 2.5 months. So she's quite a handful, as you can imagine. And we have my other daughter, Mari. She's 3 years old now. So we have a busy household, and of course,
I can imagine.
It cuts into my gaming time. And I'm going back to school next semester, so we'll see how that goes. But
yeah. So well, thank you so much for making the time to come on the show. We really do appreciate
it. Absolutely, yeah. This is fun.
All right, so the reason I really did want you to come on the show, last show we spoke in depth about challenges and the challenge system and some of the challenges of challenges, so to speak. Now, X Towers runs, or actually does a weekly, or mostly weekly, sort of a group email with all of the new sort of challenges that come out and just a running sort of tally of what's going on, which ones are expiring soon, which ones are due to sort of come on. So X Towers has been a fan of challenges for quite a long time, since they came out. So I really wanted to ask X Towers what his thoughts on challenges were, and particularly relating to our conversation from last week. So go for it, Garrett. Did you have anything particular you wanted to say, or you want to just speak in general?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do kind of consider myself an expert on challenges, if you will, but there was one. There is problems with challenges, as you guys know, and I am one who's a big fan of them, and I wish they were more prevalent, and I wish more people could get into them. So that's one of the reasons why I started my weekly blog or newsletter on TrueAchievements.com. But also they were just really hard to keep track of for a while there. I know there's a way they can be fixed. I think you mentioned on the show previously, Mike Ybarra was talking about how they're not very visible, and I can completely agree.
Yeah, I don't think I've even seen a hint of them on the new Xbox dashboard at all.
Yeah.
I think the last time I saw them was in Fantasia when they were still active. They came up in the achievement app, as I recall, but I haven't seen one since.
Well, and on the new Xbox One experience, I think they completely did away with the achievement app as we know it. I don't know, every time I try to bring up the achievement app, it just like tacks on the achievements for whatever game or app that I'm using. I don't seem to have a complete listing of all the games. Maybe I'm using it wrong.
Yeah, I think that they've really focused it into the snap mode now. However, I did read about a way to actually make it come up as a full screen app. You have to do a bit of trickery to do it. So it's still, I think that functionality is still there, but it's certainly much more hidden.
Okay. So challenges as they are right now are very hard to find, as you guys know. I mean, how would you know if a particular game has a challenge? You'd probably only know when you happen to pop it in the game that you're playing just by chance. I mean,
yeah, unless the game has a dedicated thing for it. I don't know if the fitness game has something there specifically for it, because I know a lot of challenges are meant to unlock rewards inside the games.
Yep.
And I know the Xbox Fitness app in particular seems to have a strong connection to challenges. Does that app have notifications inside the game or inside the app about challenges?
No, it doesn't. The one little thing that may help you is that particular workouts that come out, like new workouts, they'll have one. So there's a new workout program. They'll have one workout that's free. The rest are paid workouts. So you can try it for free, and if you try it enough, you'll get a challenge completed for that usually. So they kind of tack on a challenge to, hey, try this game out, and then there is also like another challenge associated with it that's, hey, buy this entire content for whatever price you have, and you can get this challenge achievement at the same time. So that's how they kind of incentivize you maybe trying it or even buying it. But as far as
not that the challenges are much of an incentive.
Yeah,
as it turns out.
and you wouldn't
I've bought
really
an achievement
know
before,
that there's
but
a
I've
challenge.
never bought a challenge.
Yeah.
I pre-ordered the Xbox One to get the Microsoft Store achievement and got the day one achievement, and so that sort of feels kind of good. But I'm not sure if I would have done it if it were for challenges.
Yeah,
it doesn't quite feel the same. I did actually follow up a bit as well. I spoke to one of the devs of True Achievements, because they scan a lot of info in and they have access to a bunch of the sort of back-end info, particularly about repeating challenges. There has actually only been one repeated challenge or has only been one game that's had repeated challenges, which is Kinect Sports Rivals. And the guy who sort of told me about that basically said it was, quote, a bit of a kick in the teeth for those who worked to earn them, unquote. So he obviously wasn't a fan of repeating challenges, or at least if it's going to be challenges that are time-based, stick to that. Don't repeat them.
So if they're time-based, why don't they just leave them as a duration-based versus a set time in history, where it's like within X amount of time of starting, if it's 30 days or if it's 2 hours or whatever, like that can be a challenge. That doesn't matter as a specific date stamp.
So an open-ended challenge, complete the game within 30 days of starting it or something like that.
Right.
Well, going back to
I'm not sure if they can do that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't. That's not how it's set up right now, as far as I know. It's challenges are set, with whatever requirements they need to be met in game, but they also have a start date and an end date, and you need to meet those requirements within that time period for you to unlock the challenge. So, I mean, that's how they're set up right now. I mean, what you suggest, Frame, is maybe something that they can make the challenges more accessible to more people, which would be great. But going back to the repeating challenges, let me explain. Challenges a single challenge can have any parameter of the challenge edited at any time by the developer, as far as I know. So one challenge could be set for, January 1st through January 7th, a 1-week challenge. But for whatever reason, maybe the game is released at a later date, so the developers decide, okay, instead of January 1st through January 7th, we're now editing this challenge to run from March 1st through March 7th to coincide with the release date.
So I don't know that was you consider that a repeating challenge, though, particularly if a game was delayed. That's kind of more bringing it in line with the actual release of the game. I think Kinect Sport Rivals actually had challenges that were available, and then 6 months later or something like that, they repeated, and that's kind of not supposed to happen, as far as I understand.
Right. You said it was kind of a kick in the teeth to those who had earned it the first time. Let me counter that for 1 minute. Forza 5 had a repeating challenge that I actually took part in. It was a weekend challenge for some 2-hour endurance race that you had to participate in order to earn this challenge. So the challenge was over 3 days over the weekend. And the first day, people who earned it were good, all happy. The last couple days, the servers had issues. People weren't able to get into the race, and they weren't able to earn that challenge within the allotted time period. So what they did is a week later, a week or two later, I can't remember exactly, but they redid the challenge. So they edited the start and end dates so that more people could earn the challenge who maybe missed out because of the server issues. So I thought that was a win in that case. I mean, I thought that was a positive thing.
Does the name of the challenge, though, did that stay as the original date frame, or is now the new date frame, and some people unlocked it early?
So the date unlock will remain the same for those who earn the challenge. The start and end dates were edited so people could earn it within a different time period. But after the challenge expires, nobody's going to know or even care about when it started. So that's not in the description of the challenge or anything. Did this from this date to this date? No, it was more hey, you won the Indie Endurance Challenge for whatever.
Speaking with the devs at TA, I think the repeating challenges actually caused some headaches because it was just not the way challenges were meant to work. They weren't meant to have their dates modified afterward, and so tracking a challenge that has had multiple periods where it could have been unlocked presented a few few extra hurdles or headaches as far as the data management goes. It sort of turned it from being okay, here's a challenge in a database record with a single date start and end to okay, all challenges now have to have the availability to have multiple start and end dates. It's a bit of a pain.
I can imagine. And then another, I don't know if you'd call this a repeating challenge, but I know Crimson Dragon had the exact same 9 challenges released. I think it was closer to the release date of the game, but then maybe a year later they had the exact same 9 challenges. There were new challenges, but they just put a 2 after each challenge title.
So not technically repeating, but
right.
close enough.
But there was very little
layout.
work done on their part. Yeah, so that was kind of funny. But
yeah.
It was.
So what are your thoughts on repeating challenges? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it would improve the system if they were allowed to, say, have just an ongoing monthly challenge for each month or every few months or something?
I mean, repeating the same exact challenge kind of defeats the purpose. I mean,
well, let's say if it was let's say you had 6 challenges and you repeated them in order every 6 months or something like that.
So that everyone could still get the same challenge, even if they didn't.
They might have to wait. They might have to wait some time. If they miss it in the first month, then they wait for the 7th month, and it'll come back. That sort of thing.
I mean, that's fine, but if you're just going to tack on these extra little bits to the game, why even have them on a timed basis? You could maybe have a separate achievement list, if you will, maybe a challenge list that you could work on at any time, but maybe wouldn't award gamer score. But then I don't know what the reward would be in that. I mean, there's an incentive for being able to complete it within a set time, and then being able to say nobody else was able to do this but me because I had more money at the time and I could splurge on.
I guess that's kind of getting back to things like the EA early access challenges, which if you don't happen to have an EA membership, then you just can't get those challenges, and screw you.
Yeah, and here's another thing too. I don't know if you guys were aware, but back when the Xbox One was released, every single game released on the Xbox One was pretty much required to have at least one challenge. So that's not the case anymore. You see many new releases without any challenges.
I wonder if that change happened to come around about the same time as they removed the Kinect requirement from the Xbox One. They had to sort of do a lot of backpedaling, as I recall.
It's very possible.
I would imagine that challenges probably also weren't particularly popular with developers as well, having to be mandated to add this particular system in and manage it, particularly when if you're releasing on PS4 and on One. You don't have to do this on the PS4. The trophy list is exactly the same as the achievement list. But you have to do this extra thing to release on the One.
Right.
That would probably be a bit of a blocker, I would imagine.
Well, and I don't know if the fans necessarily liked it either. Imagine if you have a hardcore Call of Duty fanboy who plays Call of Duty exclusively for months, and on the PS4 he's not able to get this one challenge that is available on the Xbox One. Now, as you guys know, every challenge on the Xbox One is required to have some sort of reward associated with it, whether it be in-game currency or artwork, or maybe an in-game item or something like that.
Some kind of perk or something.
Yeah. So what if the Call of Duty fanboy on the PS4 wasn't able to get this special, I don't know, maybe
skin.
A weapon skin or something that was available on the Xbox One? He might be a little upset about that.
A lot of that stuff isn't very popular with fans, and I can speak from experience there with the Destiny PlayStation specific stuff.
Yeah.
That has really, really annoyed me with the game. In fact, it was probably the catalyst to ultimately make me leave Destiny for the first time.
So, yeah, I mean, I imagine there's a little bit of pushback on both sides. However, I've seen some really interesting challenges come about for Xbox exclusive games, namely State of Decay, where the Undead Labs developer, they really engage their community quite a bit, and they use these challenges to kind of keep interest in the game, but also have the community like work together. They typically, what they'll do is they'll release one solo challenge and one community challenge, and they'll track the community challenges on their forums, and they'll really engage their community, which I think is a positive way to use these challenges.
Yeah, it sounds like if there was a bit of community involvement in a lot of these challenges, that was probably what would make them more popular as a whole.
Yeah. That's funny.
Just releasing. Sorry,
I had no idea that was related to a challenge, because I follow them on Twitter, and so I see them posting about all these community things. Like, I mean, they are very engaged with their community. I had no idea that was related to a challenge.
Yeah, you should get on that, man.
That's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. So it's happened ever since the State of Decay has released on the Xbox One. They've had at least one challenge every month for you to work on, which I find really fun, because I always go back to the game and I try to get the challenge and maybe grab a few achievements along the way. It's interesting.
Okay, so it sounds like they're doing challenges the right way then. That's good. So it's good someone's kind of worked out a way to really make those make challenges work, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to fix it there, Garrett? Any other suggestions or solutions?
Well, okay, so we've touched on how challenges aren't visible right now. You can't really find them unless you're part of a community that tracks them, maybe following my blog or my on my leaderboard on True Achievements, so you can get the weekly notification. We've also talked about how they're not really accessible. Kind of along with that, some challenges that are released are not really obtainable by someone who... Let's just talk about Warframe for a second. So Warframe has challenges that they release throughout the year. Mostly they're weekend challenges, but some of these weekend challenges require you to be like level 15 to 20. Getting to level 15 for someone who just picked up the game is not really possible in one weekend unless you have nothing else to do but play Warframe. If challenges were kind of edited so they're accessible to players no matter where they are at a point in the game, it might make them more palatable to a broader gamer audience.
But I guess with the Warframe challenges, again, it was similar to what Undead Labs are doing. I suppose they're targeted more towards their existing community. And if that's the case, then they would be targeting towards experienced players and people with those characters that are already ready and able to do those kind of things. So I guess it might be... Maybe they need to focus on releasing one for the entry-level players as well as something for their existing community and the hardcore players, just as more of an encouragement.
That's true. I mean, it just depends on how broad of an audience they want to target with these challenges. That's very true.
And I didn't realize that they had to have goodies associated with them. Like, couldn't you just make the goodies intriguing enough to get people interested? I mean... I've seen people in Destiny do stuff, pay microtransactions for a funny dance. Like, Did you tie one of those to a challenge and you say, oh, well, gosh, I really need to get that. I get to flip someone the bird. I mean, come on. I got to get that challenge.
I mean, it might make more people interested in the challenge, but then again, since challenges are always time-based...
Yeah, it doesn't fix the system.
Yeah, there's going to be a person who misses out and who's going to be upset by that. Being able to flip the bird in Destiny would be great, but I picked up Destiny 2 months after the release instead of in the first month, so I missed out. How does that make you feel?
Oh, I've been on forums. It doesn't make people happy.
Yeah, I guess.
But that's life. I mean,
there's already precedent within, say, Destiny specifically that, as I think there's a lot of year one sort of content that you can't unlock or use now. in Year 2. I haven't really touched it since Year 2, so Freem would be the better person to qualify that. But as far as I understand, there are some things that I have that people who are playing or starting Destiny now will never be able to get.
Correct.
So like that I've actually still got the Halloween pumpkin head item, which basically just makes your head a Halloween burning Halloween pumpkin head for a short amount of time. Nobody's going to get that. I got given three of them for free on October 31st for Halloween.
Yep. Actually, they did come back this most recent Halloween.
Did they?
They had an event. We'll talk about that in a little bit later. But anyway.
Yeah,
they try to do stuff like that too. But
yeah, there's certainly precedent. But I think for achievement hunters and particularly for completionists, having challenges that are time-based like that are probably a real turn-off. So I guess that's been it's probably why most completionists don't really think about the challenges too much, because there's games that are otherwise completable 100%, all the multiplayer, everything, except the challenges, which will never, ever, ever become available.
Well, let's kind of talk about that a little bit too, as far as a completionist perspective. So when a challenge comes out, okay, so you have a game. It's got 1,000 gamer score that you can obtain, right? And then a certain number of achievements that are associated with that. So we could say 20 achievements with 1,000 gamer score, right? When a challenge is issued for the game, suddenly that achievement, according to Xbox Live, goes up to 21 possible achievements for 1,000 gamer score. That one challenge achievement is 0 gamer score. However, when the challenge ends, you go back down to 20 possible achievements out of 1,000. That's if you didn't get that challenge achievement. If you did get that challenge achievement, then you have 21 achievements for a possible 1,000 gamer score. So
you're saying your gamer card would say 21 out of 21 or 20 out of 20, both for 1,000 gamer score.
Exactly.
Wow, that's not confusing at all.
Yeah.
That is obnoxious.
So, I mean, essentially, you can complete the game for 1,000 gamer score and the maximum possible achievements, whether or not you have challenges. If you have a challenge, according to Xbox Live, you just increase your possible achievements by however many challenges you have.
That's dumb. Just outright dumb.
That's how they work it,
Now, when there are active challenges, is the upper limit, so let's say I'm not quite done, but there's 2 active challenges, and so I'm 19 out of 22? Or is it 19 out of 20, but I could go up to 22 out of 22?
Well, let's say you completed the game, right? And then suddenly there's challenges issued, so you have 20...
So you lose your completion, essentially, whilst the challenges are on.
But when the challenges are done, you have your completion no matter what.
Oh my god, it's extra dumb. What a disaster of a system.
Yeah, I guess that's probably why TA or True Achievements decided to split them and just keep them as a separate entity away from regular achievements.
Which I agree with. They are kind of a separate deal, and they should be tracked separately. Otherwise, it would just kind of be chaos with your completion, your total completions.
Yeah, I know that they wouldn't have fun recalculating everybody's completion percentage every single time a challenge came out.
Oh, imagine the front feeds. You would, you'd have 20 people. Oh, I just completed this game. Well, that's because a challenge just ended.
It's expired. Yeah,
it would be kind of obnoxious. So,
well, speaking, sorry.
Oh. So we were talking about what things would make it better. Visibility and accessibility, maybe making it more relevant to more people, but also consistency. So we know that challenges were available on every game that came out towards the beginning of the launch, but now you don't know what game is going to have challenges or not. You have to be part of a website that's tracking these in order to know. I don't know, would you guys think it'd be nice if you knew that every game that came out had at least one challenge that you could work on? Or
it'd probably make you pay attention to it more.
Yeah.
But I think challenges are kind of an afterthought.
Yeah.
And often I'll pick up games a bit late, and usually that will mean any challenges that might have been available are expired now anyway. So it's almost off my radar just because of that. I know, and that gets back to the visibility. I sort of wonder, what's the point? Why would I go for this, and where would it show up anyway? In-game goodies, maybe that would sort of have to be something that would be broadcast. I mean, if Arkham Knight, for example, like I happen to really love the Batman series, if Arkham Knight unlocked a specific certain extra piece of gear for doing a challenge in the first week, hell yeah, I would have done it.
Yeah.
But if it was, I'm probably not going to be too disappointed if I can't get it, a month later. But
right. That's kind of the last little piece that I had with maybe how to make challenges better, making them more relevant or more important to gamers. I think quite a few challenges nowadays just award artwork, which I think is kind of cool. Magic 2015 had a bunch of great artwork from their cards that you could paste up as wallpaper on your Xbox One dashboard. But I mean, ultimately, it doesn't really do anything for you. I don't know if adding additional in-game goodies, like you said, would bring challenges to the forefront, and make these better for gamers to achieve.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've explored that topic pretty far. Now, as you were mentioning friend feeds and exploding friend feeds before, it's usually around about January the 1st that True Achievements ends up with an explosion of goal failed messages. I don't know if you guys have experienced that. It seems to be a bit of a tradition that everybody sets, like on January 1st, they kind of set their New Year's resolutions for achievements and gamer score and all that sort of stuff. So I thought, given we're coming up to the end of the year now, it might be worth just going through some of our own goals and to see how we tracked this year and what we were aiming for, whether we're going to actually achieve some of them. So I'm happy to go first. Now, probably the best prized sort of thing I did this year was to complete the base game of Destiny before Brandon did. That was...
You had... I mean, the only two things I needed when you set that goal was I needed to max out my Titan and my Warlock, and you needed to flawless raid.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm pretty happy I got that one down before you did.
Yeah, I still don't have a maxed out Titan and Warlock, so...
I was actually pretty surprised. I thought you'd probably get that one before I did, but nope. That was a pretty epic one. I also completed Dead Rising 2 on PC. Now, my history with Dead Rising goes back fairly extensively, but Dead Rising 2, I've managed to finish all 4 versions of that, including the ridiculous goals of killing like 100,000 zombies in the 2 off-the-record versions. So I've got the two Xbox 360 versions, the 2 PC versions. I've also got all of or as many as I can get a hold of the variants of the XBLA titles. I'm still trying to get hold of the Korean versions. They're actually very, very difficult to access. And I also managed to hit my 250,000 gamer score. I had a stretch goal set up for 275,000, and I'm currently 265. I might be able to get there by the end of the year. That will be a bit tough. It's another 10k.
That'd be impressive.
Yeah, so I could probably scrounge that, but we'll have to see. So I've got about 2.5 weeks to go. And also, I had a stretch goal open for 400,000 True Achievement score. Currently sitting on about 394, 395. So I could probably get that one too. We'll see how we go. I did have goals there to complete Arkham Knight, Arkham Origins, and Arkham City, the Batman games. That's just not going to happen. I've had my copy of Arkham City PC version's actually been on loan to Facial Fleur for probably over a year now. I'd like it back, Facial, if you're listening. So I just haven't had the opportunity to do that. And Arkham Knight, the DLC coming out with all the extra challenges, has been sort of making it harder and harder to kind of keep up with. And Origins is just, there is a lot to do in that, and I just didn't focus on it enough. So that's not going to happen. Limbo. How well do you guys know Limbo?
Oh,
Quite well.
Yeah, there's the achievement in that for completing the game with only 5 deaths. Now, I had sort of planned to do that. I put a bit of work into it and kind of let it go a while back, I think around about when I was doing the planning for the group world record attempt. I do want to try and do that. I might try and get those in before the end of the year, so it depends on my priorities whether I want to go for the Gamer Score achievement or not. And my last sort of goal was to get 1,000 games started on my tag, and that was actually when I was going to finish off my Bean Dive. The Bean Dive being the yearly event on True Achievements, where you basically start all of the games that you've got on your backlog that you haven't put an achievement in. I'm currently 13 games away, so I think that one's actually quite doable by the end of the year. I just need to go and pull 13 games off the pile.
Nice.
So, how about you, Frem? What goals have you worked on this year?
So I, at the start of the year, set forth 10 gaming goals and 10 non-gaming goals, and I'll leave the non-gaming goals off. They're out of scope of this, and I'll focus on some of these gaming goals I had. Only 8 are really worth mentioning. 4 of these I've completed. The GTA SE, so the Great True Achievement Score Challenge, we had a side contest going with the community managers over at the Achievement Hounds forums, and we beat them. We won. I success. Oh yeah, that's right. X Towers was on my team.
Oh, you forgot about me?
I totally
Man, I
forgot.
carried you through the last 2 weeks of that contest.
That was fantastic. So yes, that was one of my yearly goals, and
it's kind of funny actually because my GTAS C team had a bit of a side contest going, which was to basically beat both of your teams, both of the AHP teams. Of course, we beat one. I think we got knocked out at the same time as you guys did.
Nice. So with that, I easily then hit my other scoring goals because I had to try a lot harder. So my goal of 100,000 gamer score, my goal of 5,000 achievements, and my goal of 160,000 TA. I obliterated all of those. Well, obliterate is a strong word, but I beat all of those.
Oblivionated?
Those and actually all of those were based on like my best scoring year was 2013. Like I had a lot more free time. My kids were significantly more manageable, and so I was able to play a lot more. Yep. And then like 2014, I took a huge step back, and now I wanted to reclaim that. Did such a thing. I actually hit my 5,000th achievement on the same time I hit 100,000 right on the head.
That takes a lot of planning.
That worked out super well. That last 100 achievements and like 4,000 gamer score was meticulously planned, and then my son went and ruined it by unlocking something in Rayman by accident, and so I had to totally scramble for the last 15. But anyway, success right there. The 4 open goals that I still have, completing Tiger Woods 14. That was a goal at the start of the year. I did the record breaker where you got all the career goals taken care of. So I'm happy that that's done. I pretty much stopped doing that game. My concern, and the reason I set it as a goal, was I was almost convinced that the servers were going to shut down on that, especially with Rory McIlroy coming, losing the licensing deal with Tiger or canceling the licensing deal, and then Rory coming into for the new system. But I think with the issues of Rory and just not being maybe that full of a game and having no real strong analog on the 360, they likely just kept it going. I would love to see this thing in the vault, and so I don't have to worry about it, but I doubt that's going to happen.
Yeah, don't they usually have I think it's a 2-year or a 3-year lifespan for the EA Tiger Woods titles anyway.
Well, it was 18 months before.
Was it 18? Was it? Okay.
But then they moved it to 27 for the NBA games.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did the same thing. The way I had calculated it was looking at Tiger Woods 13. That went up in March of this 2 years ago.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, March of 2015, I envisioned hearing things about Tiger Woods 14 going down. But because there was no replacement game, that whole calendar gets shifted. So I still haven't heard anything. And tell you the truth, I'm not the only achievements I'm at jeopardy of having servers shut down on. One I can get pretty quick if I hear that they're going to shut down, and that's getting my LPGA card. I didn't really start a female golfer. It doesn't take long to get that achievement. The other one that does take a lot of time and effort is getting a full set of pins for a course, and that's using in-game currency. And so you have to play a whole bunch. They've shut down the ability to buy currency, so you can't buy any of the to get the packs anymore. But you can still earn them in game by playing in tournaments and doing things like that. I'm not sure that those will stay open if the servers close. Everything else is all single player, like setting up tournaments within the game and doing the quote unquote story mode. Playing the Legends storyline of the history of golf or whatever. All of that stuff can be done offline, essentially. So I'm not worried about having discontinueds, but it's that the pin set one I'm not quite sure about.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, just whilst you're on that subject, I was going to actually highlight this maybe a bit later, but there's a forum user on True Achievements, MattDan12. He actually keeps a list of potential, or basically a watch list for discontinued achievements, or achievements that have servers that are going to shut down soon or they've been announced. So I was just going to mention that, and that there might be something on there about the Tiger Woods achievements.
Yeah,
I wanted to check that out.
No, I'll
put that into the show notes.
That's a great PSA. That's a nice list that he's put together. I do keep my eyes on that pretty frequently. Which leads into another goal of mine that I haven't completed. Was kind of in that same vein. I have 3 Connect Fun Labs still to finish. I was convinced, especially once they stopped packaging the Connect in and you took the dashboard, all that stuff out. Like if you've tried to go back and do the Connect Fun Labs, there's those easy 30-minute, maybe an hour, fun little things with the Connect on the 360.
Yeah, the Connect tech demos essentially.
Yeah, pretty much. 50 gamer score, easy 10 achievements. It is really, really difficult to go and find the hub. You have to do the Bing searches or pretend to re-download it after you've searched it, and then you can launch it again.
Yeah, I found when it first vanished from the dashboard proper, and I had to go and find it again. It took me ages to actually find it. Once I did, what I did was I actually pinned it. You pin it, and it appears in your pinned items. It still comes up as you have to download it again, but it says, "Oh, you've already downloaded it. Do you want to play it?" And you go straight into it that way. But yeah, they've really made that hard to find.
Absolutely. And typically, when you say play it, it'll launch, and there'll be an update, and it'll kick you out, and then you got to do it all again.
Yeah.
So you stick with it. You can get them anyway. I have 3 left.
Which 3?
I have Mars rover landing.
I got to do that one too, actually.
Yep, I Am Super and Avatar Connect.
Are you going to do the pay for one, the Sparkle? I think it's the Sparkle Magic or whatever it is.
No, I'm only doing the free ones.
Yeah, I think I actually bought the Sparkle one just because I thought, that's something that's going to just vanish from the marketplace one day and we'll regret it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
yep, absolutely. I did finish a few of them this year, which, it's... For what it's worth.
Was that prompted by me? Because I remember, I think it was pretty early this year. I just basically went through and cleaned up all of them. I had a bunch left and did about a batch of 12 of them in the space of about 3 weeks.
Yeah, I did 3 of them in January and 1 of them in August.
Okay.
And that was, so I did 4 this year. I still have 3 left. Hey, you know what? Nobody's perfect. So that's on my list to do. I technically could still get that done this year, but man, they're not fun to do, especially the ones where like you do 25 of this, and it's like, oh
yeah, do 25 of this and upload it to Facebook.
Yeah,
no,
I don't want to do that. This other goal of mine was in response to me just buying too many games this year, and it's having more.
I hear you, brother.
Right,
I hear you.
Quote unquote played games versus quote unquote unplayed, and the reason I do quotes is I have a lot of games that I've dived, but I consider them unplayed as far as I'm concerned. Getting one achievement, that's not really playing the game. It's really doing a concerted effort to get something done.
I shudder to think by that criteria, what my unplayed count would be.
Yeah, right. So as it stands now, I have, and it's remarkable that this actually happened, I have 192 played and 192 unplayed. So that's just crazy to think that they balanced out like that. But what I do know is Christmas is coming, and my unplayed is going to increase by at least 8. So
better finish off those Kinect games.
Yep,
then.
I do. I have to take some of these things down. I have to start and finish some new games. So we'll see if that one pans out through this year. The final thing, which was a goal that I woefully failed at, and that was to catch up on the Assassin's Creed series of games. I started the year playing Assassin's Creed Revelations. I was about halfway through. I am proud, and so then it would be finish Revelations, Assassin's Creed 3, Unity, Black Flag on the 360. Those were the games I owned at the time. I finished the story in Revelations. That's it.
Well done.
Yep. And
well
then I went ahead and bought Assassin's Creed Chronicles China, and I got the Xbox One version of Black Flag for free. And now, of course, Syndicate's out. So not only did I not even finish the one I had started, I purchased 2, now I'm the proud owner of 2 new ones, and it's only a matter of time before Ubisoft discounts Syndicate to $20, and that'll be on the list.
You should pick up Rogue as well.
Yes, Rogue. I've seen that. It's been $10-15 consistently. And then we just got the announcement that the Chronicles Russia and Chronicles India will be coming out relatively early, and at least one of them's early 2016. So there's that one too. So I woefully failed on keeping up with the Assassin's Creed series. I think Revelations just it derailed in a way that it's like they added some things that I just did not care. Like the tower defense. Oh my god, that was actually miserable.
My least favorite part of the game for me.
And tell you the truth, I don't really care for the bombs. I'm not really digging the bomb missions.
Yeah.
Like I kind of liked the training assassins and sending them out on missions and doing that kind of thing. Like that little micromanaging thing is okay. It's kind of fun, but. And then what? I got to collect animus fragments now. It's like I think I have 12 or enough so that I could do the Desmond sequences.
Yeah. Did I remember you saying you didn't really like the Desmond sequences either? Because they're kind of a first-person view.
Yep. Oh, they're hideous.
And, yeah, I didn't actually mind them myself. I thought that was sort of an interesting break, but it probably would be a bit jarring. It's certainly not the core gameplay of Assassin's Creed.
Well, I think what threw me off is because I went and did that as a kind of a scavenger hunt. Like, I needed to go do this quick. So I wasn't playing Assassin's Creed. I was like, I just need to go play these. And all of a sudden it's like, this is a really crappy first-person shooter.
Yeah, there was one particular achievement in that which I got stuck on for a while, which is I think there's one particular level you have to get through the entire thing without dying once, and it's probably the hardest game in that particular sort of DLC section.
Oh, that's right. You're trying to tell me that DLC is all the first-person garbage?
I think so.
That Lost Archive.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, man, kill me. That sucks. I'm not looking forward to that at all. All right, well, those are my goals this year. I will establish some 2016 goals. I just need to figure out what they're going to be. So, X Towers, what did you end up doing this year?
Honestly, I have the same goal every year, and it's to get to 50% completion. And I haven't gotten there I've never been there, so...
I remember those days.
Yeah.
I was at 50% once. I was actually at 65%, believe it or not, once.
Wow. Yeah, I would love to get there. I just keep starting new games and not playing them. It's terrible.
When I say I was at 65%, that was because I had, probably a good 300 games sitting there that I hadn't actually started, specifically just to keep my completion percentage up, and it was just silly.
Then you did a bean dive.
Yeah, I just this is ridiculous.
So I think I made maybe 5% progress this year, but that has since vanished, and I'm sitting at like 36% completion right now. It's terrible, but I'll just keep trying, and hopefully I'll get there someday. Maybe a secondary goal is to increase my TA ratio on TrueAchievements.com.
That's one of the harder things to do.
I did make some progress there for a few years. I kind of increased it gradually from like 1.3 to 1.4. Now I'm sitting at like 1.5. The reason it was so low to begin with is because I was part of the Gamerscore League one year, and I basically played a bunch of those easy 1Ks from 2006. And
so Gamerscore League is a yearly competition over on Xbox Achievements, I believe.
Yep, that's right. Yep. So that really inflated my score, but not my ratio. So I've been trying to slowly work that back up. But yeah, that's it. Just keep on trucking.
All right. Well, I guess we won't sort of work out or talk about goals. We can speak about next year's goals. We can speak about that next episode. But I guess for any listeners, if there's any sort of goals that you're setting or goals that you didn't get this year, we would love to hear from you. If you want to send us something on our Twitter account, it's at Z2Z, ZEDTOZED. We'd love to hear from you. All right, so we are now going into the news section. So we'll start firstly with our regular Knobs and Discos section, which is, of course, the section about unattainable and discontinued achievements. We have some good news. The previously unattainable achievements in the game The Deer God, which was a Games with Gold release a month or two ago, it came out with some unattainable achievements, in particular Reincarnationist, if I could say that properly. Crescent Moons, the developer, have actually been really responsive on Twitter about these things, and that particular achievement is now fixed. So Dear God is completable. So if you happen to have that on your tag and you weren't able to complete it before, it is possible now. Unfortunately, though, a couple of the newer games that have come out recently, The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing, which, as I speak, is still on Games with Gold. One of the achievements in that, Unfulmigator, is not achievable at the moment. Hopefully that will be patched. And another one from another indie game called Nova 111. The achievement Treasure Hunter in that is not obtainable, or appears to be unobtainable at this point. There's not really much to report on as far as discontinued ones go, other than that I wanted to make mention of the thread on True Achievements, which is following potentials that are coming up. I'll put that into the show notes for this show, episode 0.2. And there was a glitch that we reported on last episode regarding Fallout 4, the bottle cap duplication glitch, which is kind of a beneficial glitch. There has been a bit of a report that's been patched now, although I've heard some conflicting information on that. So,
oh, really? I've heard, that it was no good, but that'll be fun.
Yeah, so it may or may not be gone, but yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. I also had a question from one of our early listeners. C Monkey Powder was asking if there was any other retail game besides Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2006 that has a complete list of unobtainables or discontinueds. So I actually reached out to one of my contacts at True Achievements, so thank you, Jack, WebChimp. And he did a bit of a dig through the database for me, and it turns out that the short answer is no, there is no other game, no other retail on-disc game that is completely unobtainable, besides the Tiger Woods 2006. But there are a bunch of other titles that are sort of have achievements which are completely locked out. Most of those are the little MMO games that got discontinued, or things like the karaoke game on 360 and so forth. I will provide a complete list of those in the show notes just for his reference. Thank you for the question. Game delay roundup, was there anything to report on there?
Not really. The only delay of note was that the Division open beta, that was delayed. That's going to be sometime in 2016, but as throwing a bone to those of you who pre-ordered, there's a closed alpha to Xbox One pre-orders that is actually just started this week. Then you got 7 days to do that, so not really what we want to hear, but come on, that game has been delayed so many times. Did you really expect it to come out as scheduled at the end of the year? For your open beta, so got to wait a few more months. That's about it for game delays that piqued my interest.
Okay, I've been watching some of the news, particularly about backwards compatibility. This last week in particular, Phil Spencer has been saying a few things about it on Twitter. And particularly about the release schedule for backwards compatibility games. He hopes, from what I gather from his Twitter feed, he would hope for a monthly schedule for those releases, and probably looking around about mid-month. So with any luck, by mid-December into 2015, which is only a few days away for us as we record this, we might have some more information on the next round of backwards compatibility titles, and maybe even a new batch of them released. So that's the news we've got there.
Which
there's no other.
I thought was like, because I initially had said that it would, like, I always look forward to the end of the month when, even if it's games I already own, to just know what is possible for my games with gold. And at around the 15th, there was no fun, exciting news, and I was hoping that we'd maybe get like 3 or 4 new backwards compatible games, even if it's stuff that I don't care about. But I really hope on the 15th this is what happens.
Yeah, well, it seems like they want to do that as a regular sort of scheduled mid-month announcement, so that'll be good.
Agreed. Fantastic.
So on to the news proper. You've got a few items there.
I do. With all the stories that we always hear about studios shuttering their doors, we have 2 gleams of light here. 2 new studios opened, and I don't know what Canada's doing. They must have some really fantastic tax incentives, but Gearbox has opened a new studio in Quebec City called Gearbox Studio Quebec. Whether or not they come up with a more creative title, I don't know, but it's Gearbox, and they're focusing on AAA titles. So they're going to be following right along with the rest of their grand scheme of things. So you've got Gearbox, and on the other side of the country, no, it's not even. It's like across the river. Bethesda is opening, or has opened, a studio in Montreal, and so I think they're just calling it Bethesda Montreal for all intents and purposes. So we got 2 brand new studios, fantastic for you game developers out there. You've got places to go work, and clearly Gearbox and Bethesda making enough money to justify opening up a new spot.
Canada really does seem to be the place, doesn't it?
It does.
Because I know Warner Brothers have got a studio there.
Yep.
Ubisoft have a studio
is there.
there.
Yep.
I think they might have 2 actually. There must be something really. Must be a tax incentive.
It's got to be,
Probably.
right? It's got to be. So with opening up these new studios, we've got EA doesn't want to lose ground, and so Peter Moore, their CEO or COO, they're opening a new competitive gaming division within the company. And it's going to be headed by Peter Moore. And, of course, you would recognize Peter Moore's name as the figurehead during the 360 era. That was his claim to fame since moving on to EA. And this competitive gaming division is really going to focus on esports. And the popular esports titles for EA that they're kind of gearing toward would be the FIFA franchise, Madden, Battlefield. Those are kind of the big three that they would look forward to, and kind of what their mission statement is per se is they want to create these highly engaging competitive experiences, which you would imagine. They want to create some sort of community, a large group of people to be watching these events, and then of course make them entertaining, broadcast them, have big gigantic arenas filled with people. What they fail to mention on this article, this is through xboxachievements.com, it's also pretty lucrative. I think League of Legends, they're doing okay. Dota, yeah, there's some money to be had there. I think EA is seeing all this popularity in esports and thinking, we got some games that might work. Let's see if we can put something together and maybe catch a few coins out of this.
I mean, let's be real here. The grand prizes are in the millions of dollars for these tournaments. So I mean,
right.
It's getting big.
Which and I know. I mean, that was Peter Moore built his reputation significantly on Xbox Live and the Xbox 360, and loves competitive gaming, believes that's the future of gaming. I mean, I know my guess is if you talk to him, he would love a good single-player campaign as well, but really, with the growth of Twitch and, YouTube gaming and all of these services where you can just watch people play video games, like I don't realize how much fun that is until I'm actually doing it,
I'm actually a bit surprised myself with I don't generally spend a lot of time watching people playing games, except that when I was trying to learn the raids in Destiny, I certainly spent a lot of time going, so that's what they do in that bit. Yeah. But I've actually got a bunch of workmates who've sort of recently gotten heavily into StarCraft 2, and the amount of videos they watch and streams of people watching, like playing StarCraft, is it's quite surprising for these people who usually aren't sort of considered hardcore gamers.
Yeah. And to tell you the truth, I think it's some of that entertainment can be more compelling than scripted television. And certainly a lot cheaper to produce. Granted, you might not have the star quality behind it if you don't have a good streamer or something to watch. But if it's a game that is particularly compelling, then, maybe the streamer is second to that if you're just going for gameplay. But then there's just plenty of personalities out there that are worth listening to, who are entertaining. It's a matter of finding them, unfortunately, but that is a huge industry right now. So good on EA. Good luck to you guys. There's a lot of competition. Let's just say Dota and League of Legends, they're going to keep their money. I don't know who else's money you're going to get, but I'm sure there's a home. There's plenty of people buying FIFA Ultimate Teams. So, you can parlay that. All right, we had a fantastic announcement. I constantly hear on podcasts and through conversations with friends and stuff. Telltale, they've got their hands in so many things. What are they working on now? So they just finished Game of Thrones. They've announced season 2. There's going to be a Walking Dead Michonne. They got the little snippet out. They've made some news on that front. Minecraft story mode still going on. They pretty much, and then Super Show, whatever they were doing with that Lionsgate merger. Well, they have announced their next project. Oh, they have a Marvel project out there too, apparently. Well, not to be outdone, we're getting Telltale Batman. I'm not.
What?
I'm super excited for this, and I had mentioned, because I even used Batman as one of my suggestions as to something I'd love for them to get into, hoping that it's some of those really dark storylines that Batman is so good at telling.
What I want to know is, does it have a challenge mode?
Oh gosh, I hope not. A flawless Predator mode.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see where in the timeline they take this. Are we thinking origin story? Can we just have a really cool, individual graphic novel type setting? And boy, please make this run smooth. Oh, please. Yeah, you gotta hope that they're at least considering a new engine, right? At some point. Anyway, Telltale Batman on the horizon. No announcement as to when that's supposed to come. Likely to coincide with Marvel. I can only imagine those two are going to go head to head.
Or maybe they'd want to stagger it.
Maybe.
We'll
see. You're a Batman fan. You interested in Telltale Batman?
That's probably a day one purchase for me, yeah.
Now, in a future show, we will discuss how to play episodic content, but that's not for this show.
Yep.
We had another leak. Now, I watched the trailer for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie, the second movie that's coming out this June. I don't believe this is related to that. This actually appears to get ratings in Brazil and Australia, the wonderful review boards that out all these video games before they're actually released.
It's interesting.
Or announced.
I think it's interesting with the Australian boards. I think they need to actually submit those ratings quite early.
Yeah.
And so as a result, people who do watch the rating boards end up getting some unannounced games leaked from time to time.
So it's sounding more and more like we're getting a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game with the subtitle Mutants in Manhattan, and here's the best part, developed by Platinum Games. Now, if you said that there needs to be a developer to do a Ninja Turtles game, Hack and Slash Pros Platinum Games is exactly the type of developer I would want handling my Ninja Turtles property. So, boy, I hope they do a good job with this. But even that Out of the Shadows game, as that was a 3D brawler, button mash, hack and slash type. I mean, it's kind of Batman combos, but not as smooth. That was even fun. But, I mean, the voice acting was dreadful.
Yeah.
Relatively short game.
I think the best game in the TMNT series was the one which was the Connect-only freebie one, where you've got to pretend you like
training layer,
whack things with the sticks, and dodge the bombs. Yeah, that was great.
I got plenty of Facebook posts talking about how ridiculous they looked.
Slash sarcasm.
Yeah, how ridiculous that looked. Another ratings board outing was Shadow Complex Remastered. This picked up a PEGI rating. Now, this was on PC, so I'm not sure if it's getting the port, but there is going to be a PC version of Shadow Complex Remastered. We can only hope that it's going to make the transition to Xbox One. However, that is a backwards compatible title, so we don't know.
I don't think they're limiting, they've got the Gears of War Definitive Edition, but they've also got Gears of War on backwards compatibility, so I don't know that that's necessarily exclusive.
Agreed, yeah. No, I get that too. A game that was PC that is coming over to Xbox One in February this year, 2016, Rocket League, the smash hit race car soccer game. It's coming to Xbox One. Of course, the PlayStation users got it for free with PlayStation Plus. Maybe this is our free February games with gold. Who knows? But there will be some Xbox exclusive cars. That there is a Halo themed car and a Gears of War themed car. I'm pretty sure the Halo one is a Warthog.
It better be.
Yeah.
Right?
Or a tank. Scorpion.
Maybe you can drive a Banshee around.
Not fast, but...
Suffice it to say, I mean, I've watched Twitch Rocket League before. That game looks like just a hoot. Those are fun.
It's funny. I've PC games are so off my radar. I hadn't actually heard of this game until it got announced for Xbox One. I think that's probably the only time I get interested in games is when they've got achievements.
Almost, right? I'd be curious what the achievements are, because there's some serious pros out there who can do some amazing things with their cars. I hope it's like an IDARB list where you could do it in an hour, but the game is super expansive.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Hey, look, it's a list of features that nobody wanted in Rock Band.
Honestly, though, I could see this being kind of fun. So Rock Band is getting an announcement of VR through Oculus Rift next year. Can't you see, having that experience where you can, look your head around and go see your drummer, see your guitarist, look in the stage, look up in the air? I guess I don't know.
That's called Guitar Hero Live, and it doesn't really. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, anyway. But you don't have control over the camera in Guitar Hero Live.
That's true.
But I guess what the downfall is you've always got the track bar in front of you. So, I mean,
it's always in front of you.
Yeah.
So is it like if you look down at your guitar, does it turn into a real guitar that you're playing as well? Or?
I don't know. You got to think Rock Band's going to keep it campy and fun, but I don't know. Anyway, it's interesting.
Would be make you dizzy, just banging your head, rocking out.
Well, there's that too. So, all right, that's Oculus. Do we have what's your news with other hardware?
Speaking of a similarity to Oculus, the HoloLens. There has been a bunch of sort of developer tech demos. Microsoft basically said, "Go release some stuff and put it onto Twitter." So there's a hashtag made with HoloLens. Which had a bunch of interesting demonstrations of the HoloLens in action. One of them that was particularly interesting was essentially a virtual television screen on a wall, which was streaming Halo 5 via the Xbox One, streaming straight to that virtual screen, which of course took up most of the wall. They do some interesting things there. The developers have got some interesting little dancing sort of things for their kids to play with on tables and whatnot. It's quite interesting. So go check that out. It's just the hashtag hash made with HoloLens.
I like that tech demo they did where there were bugs crawling all over your stuff, and you had a peripheral that shot them. You had giant cockroaches on your couch.
That sounds like my usual Saturday afternoon.
That sounds awesome. Anyway, a segment I liked, I used to have on a different show called The Destiny Dish. And I'll keep this relatively short, but there was a recent post of a gentleman, I assume it's a gentleman, named The Great Gatsby was his gamer tag, and he pulled off a solo Oryx run, which the Oryx is the big bad at the end of The Taken King. He is a massive boss that, with a full fire team of 6, is relatively challenging, although there's some kind of cool mechanics, but simplified mechanics. Anyway, this guy was able to pull it off single-handedly. Took him 15 minutes. Totally worth a watch on YouTube. He plays it straight through. It's really cool.
Is that the entire raid, or is that just
the Oryx fight? Just the Oryx fight. Okay. And this required a Sunsinger Warlock, so you can revive yourself at multiple times, but you had to get your super back up before you got to the next. Anyway, super cool. But the reason I wanted to bring up Destiny more so, and besides giving Great Gatsby a big thumbs up, is that Destiny has announced that they are scrapping their large content releases this year. So in year one of Destiny, they did the more traditional DLC pack of the Dark Below for $20, House of Wolves for $20. That model they have abandoned in year two. They've done a lot of this throughout the game so far, where they continually shift how they're going to monetize it. So in year two, the year two experiment is using the microtransaction model. They introduced microtransactions with the emotes, where you had different dances that I assume are wildly popular. I see a lot of people doing the Thriller dance, which costs $10. So you got to think that that's relatively effectively working for them. But what they're saying now is instead of doing these large-scale expansion-type content, that they will do smaller, more contained, what they're calling events. And so events that they've had so far, during Halloween, they had what they called the Festival of the Lost, which was a fun little event where your guardians, you got to put on papier-mâché masks and look like other characters in the game. And then you could go around, and when you killed guys, candy came out, and you'd fill up your candy bag, and you'd go turn it into somebody, and they'd give you some loot for it. It was fun. It was silly. It gave you some more things to do. You know, I liked it. It was kind of cool. The most recent update that they've done some balance patches and tweaks and things. They've introduced Sparrow Racing League for a brief period of time where you can go to Venus, you can go to Mars, and they have dedicated racetracks that you can go on your Sparrow, the little jet bikes that you cruise around in. And they've got, gear and equipment to make your Sparrows go faster, be more durable, and help your overall light level. They will help you in other content in the game. And so this will be, I don't know what the time frame is. I haven't looked or signed on to take a look, but
thought it was only a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it was a short time frame for the Sparrow Racing League, but this is another thing that they're just trying out. I would imagine probably a Christmas type, maybe 2 weeks or a week of Christmas activities.
So just to clarify, does that mean to enter the Sparrow Racing you would need to pay? Is it the microtransactional based entry fee for those things, or
no? So what has transpired so far has been there is, with the Taken King, you are allowed the free content update, and you have access to base level. For the racing, there are quest lines to earn better racing gear. There are missions, bounties, things associated with it. Same thing with the Festival of the Lost. There's a lot of things you could do for free. However, you can additionally pay to get the gear up front. You don't have to earn it. You can buy packages this was for the Festival of the Lost. You could buy packages to get more rare masks instead of trying to pull those randomly. So that's the pay to win.
Very Activision.
Yes.
That's the very Activision model.
Yes.
That's possibly a discussion for another show.
Absolutely. So it'd be curious to see. I mean, there has been data mining to show that there are consumables with tags that are for microtransactions. Like you could get XP boosts, you could get glimmer boosts. Now, granted, those are just in the code. They may have totally scrapped that idea and just said, no, don't worry, and don't bother taking them out of the code. It'll probably break something else, so just leave them.
Yeah.
But the pessimistic side says they're there. People are paying money for dancing. Why would they pay to get experience?
If people are going to pay for it, then why not sell it, I guess.
Correct. Yeah. So, like I said, it is a topic for another time, but those are just some interesting Destiny news items.
One that's come up for me a couple of times now, this is just more of a PSA. The True Achievements website recently, as in probably in the last month and a half, they changed the way that their search algorithm works, particularly as it pertains to achievements. It will only search the start of an achievement name. Now, my discussions with the devs there is that was done particularly because of True Steam achievements. The sheer volume of achievements that came over with True Steam caused that particular search algorithm to be quite slow. And so as an optimization, they reduced it so that it only searches the beginning of an achievement name. Now, this has actually caused a few sort of problems for a few contests that are actually run by you, Brandon.
Yep.
Relating to it's kind of treasure hunting essentially for particular words within achievements that you need to unlock, and unfortunately that's made it a bit more difficult to find those achievements. Hopefully that'll be rectified at some point, or the algorithm will be changed. But just as an FYI, that's what's happening. If you're having trouble finding those achievements on True Achievements, that might be why. In other news, Minecraft just got released on the Wii U.
Really?
Yay!
Hooray.
That the side effect of that, though, is that Phil Spencer actually made some positive Twitter comments about working with Nintendo, and that has led to a bit of speculation about some of the Nintendo-specific IP, particularly some of the rare titles like GoldenEye, which didn't make it to Rare Replay. The possibility of that coming over, it was kind of poo-pooed a little bit by Phil at the time, because they've actually tried to get GoldenEye across, and it's been a bit too difficult. But there's some rumours and speculation out there of other Nintendo IP being ported across potentially, just because they've got a relationship now with Xbox through the Minecraft, which of course Microsoft own. So yeah, that was so interesting. I think it's pretty far-fetched that we'll be seeing Mario on Xbox anytime soon, but it would certainly be nice. I know I would play the crap out of that.
I would too. That sounds awesome. Legend of the Mystical Ninja. That's what I want. What is that? I think that's Konami.
I would absolutely play Ocarina of Time.
Hell yeah!
For the third time through, and maybe Mario 64 too. Reported that with achievements would be just awesome. Starwell was an indie game just released recently. It's got a bunch of 100-point and 200-point achievements, and it's also got about, I think, 10 or so 0-point achievements. I was actually watching a Macca of Macca's Guides mentioned this. He had a bit of a poll going on Twitter about just whether 0-point achievements are part of a completion. And he mentioned Starwell as an example of those. And Starwell game actually responded directly back to that, saying that it was actually, unfortunately, a bug. They didn't mean to release them with 0-pointers, and that they can't actually fix it after the game has been launched. They can only change the achievement text. So I thought that was interesting, that some of those 0-pointers out there may actually just be a mistake, which they can't fix after release. I know there's actually another recent game that came out that had a bunch of 0-pointers too, which was a bit surprising.
Night Squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Night Squad was one, and there was another one that's just come out. I don't know it's actually been released yet, or if it has, it's only just come out. There's another bunch of them.
Sure.
So I don't know if there's been some miscommunication or there's some change in the process with the way the achievements are submitted, that's causing a bunch of these ones to come out with 0-pointers. But yeah, it's interesting anyway.
Fantastic. So the long-rumored Xbox One port of Gone Home, which was outright said not coming, well, Fulbright apparently made some magic happen, because it's coming. It's coming in January at some point. The drawer-opening simulator, Gone Home, will be available mid-January. I was so excited about this, because this was an experience that I didn't have an opportunity to play on PC, and I really, really wanted to just see what all the fuss was about.
Is that the sort of first-person baby simulator, or is that something else that I'm thinking about?
I think you're thinking of something else. This is the one where is in the 80s, and you come home, or the early 90s, you come home to find your house completely empty. And you walk around and literally have to piece together what happened to your family, why, where is everybody, what's going on. It sounds like there's supernatural things. Not at all. It's literally you just come home and are like, where is everybody, what's going on? And you get to like thumb through people's journals. You go, like I said, it's a drawer opening simulator. And
it actually does. It does sound kind of like one of the games I'd be interested in playing.
So I heard an interview with the developers, Fulbright, and he had said, as an interesting kind of a social experiment, because what they do in the game is they kind of put up limitations to make it a semi-linear experience, right? So some pieces of the story won't be available to you at the beginning, that you have, a couple things that are gated so that you can build into the story that they intend you to figure out. He said that, well, in the newer releases, they've actually taken that out, and you can have everything unlocked from the beginning of the game. And so you literally have carte blanche to go and find. I mean, you can find a piece that is critical to the end story, but because you're getting it early, you might not draw the same connection. And so he's like, I would love to hear somebody else's experience where you can just pretty much go anywhere in the house at the beginning of it versus, finding some of the secrets through their locked doors policy. So
I wonder if there'll be an achievement for completing the game within 5 seconds.
So I don't know how they're going to...
That's so weird.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to play that out. But, console edition, mid-January. And then in another announcement, which I find as far-fetched as possible, Cyberpunk 2077 is it's the follow-up game for CD Projekt Red. I know they've been working on it, but you have to imagine they put so much effort into getting The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt out this last summer. I am not sure how much of their resource dollars and time went toward this, but they're saying they're thinking a winter 2016, or I'm sorry, they just said in 2016, late 2016. I think they miswrote the 8 on this. I think they just forgot to loop the top of the 6. I would be shocked if this came out in 2016. With the level of care and meticulous detail that CD Projekt Red has put into Witcher, I cannot imagine they will take any shortcuts or cut corners on something like Cyberpunk 2077. I am super excited about this game. I think it looks really cool, and CD Projekt Red has risen themselves to that developer status where I'll give them my money first, then determine if it's a good game. Versus you've burned me before. I'm going to hold on to my money till I hear some reviews. So I'd be really interested to see where this thing leads.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's close out the show. I'll just say thanks for being on the show, Garrett. It's been really good to speak with you about, particularly about challenges, and get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thanks, Brandon, as always.
Absolutely.
So. All right, so as I said earlier, if you can please give us a rating on iTunes or Google Play or whatever you happen to listen to this podcast on, it really helps us reach other people and spread the word about the show. You can find episode lists and
show notes.
Show notes, that's the one. Thank you. On z2z.com, ZEDTOZED.
And if you live in the United States, it's ZEDTOZED.
Yes. You Americans. So all the credits, links to things that we've discussed during the show, full show notes and so forth will be found there. You can contact the hosts, so myself, Crandy, and Brandon, via the Twitter handle at Z2Z or at ZED2ZED. We do have a Facebook group as well, which you can reach us on, which is just the Z2Z podcast. Feel free to join the group. Contact us directly on True Achievements by our gamer tags, or you can also join the Z2Z or ZEDZED leaderboard there. Of course, we have to mention the sites that make our podcast and all of our